I'd like to say a word or two about the question of worry from a parental perspective. I often get asked, do you ever worry about your children growing up in the kind of world that we're growing up in? And I understand the motivation behind asking that question. I really do. I get it. But here's the thing about the question of do you ever worry about your children? Worry ultimately is rooted in a lack of trust. This kind of worry that we're talking about here is ultimately rooted in a lack of trust. This wouldn't apply to every kind of worry, such as worry for uh, the health and safety of a loved one, right? that doesn't equate to whether you trust them or not. But worry in this sense, worry that because the world is so messed up right now, uh, that my children will be messed up by the world, and they will become uh, they'll be transformed in ways that are highly undesirable due to the state of the world at present. These are the types of worries that are ultimately rooted in an absence of trust. Because if you trust someone, you will trust that even though they may stumble here and there, that ultimately they've got their head screwed on right, and they will ultimately um, choose the right, and will go down the path that is best for them. And when you worry as a parent about your children, about whether they will choose the right way to go, what you are ultimately saying, what you are ultimately admitting, is that you do not trust them. You do not think that they necessarily will make the correct choice. I speak as someone who grew up within a household in which my parents worried about me a lot. They worried about me. Now, I don't know whether this was because I struck them as particularly worrisome, or if it more had to do with them just more being the worrying type. I don't know how personally I should take the fact that they worried about me to that extent, to that degree. Given the fact that I was, what the character from The Breakfast Club would call a parent's wet dream. In many ways, I didn't smoke, I didn't drink, I didn't do drugs. I got mostly good grades. I didn't get into trouble. You would think that I wouldn't really be somebody that they would worry about, but they did. They did worry about me. And the reason that they worried about me was because they were aware that I was not like other kids, and I didn't really fit in very well. And I had a hard time socially speaking in a lot of ways, and so they worried about me. And when I would say something that would, that would be suggestive of my lack of my lack of fitting in, you know, overdosing on American Psycho lately. Because I want to fit in. That was not me. I was not Patrick Bateman. not in any way. Both in not being a psycho killer and not in any other way either. But yeah, so when I would say things like that or suggest things like that, this would make them worry. It would cause them to feel worrisome. And I don't think they realize this, and I don't think that they did it maliciously, but I do think that the fact that they worried about me, it suggested to me that they didn't trust that I would find the right way, that I would find my way to the right path. And, I don't feel that way about my kids. I don't worry about them in that way. They're autonomous beings. They're going to be the way that they are, and it's not up to me to now that they're grown, or mostly grown, it's not up to me to boss them around or to tell them what to do anymore. They make their own decisions, but at the same time they know what my sense of things are and what my feelings are, and how I generally stand regarding just about everything. And so forth. And does it bother me that they are in some ways really different from me? No, it doesn't bother me at all. Because they're autonomous beings. They're not little clones of their father. And I should add in this general discussion here that I once knew someone who was a parent. I'm not going to give this person away by saying this person's gender. So I'm going to call them they, even though I don't believe in the use of the they pronoun when referring to a singular person. I'm going to call this person they, because again, I don't want to give. It could be a mother, it could be a father, and I want to preserve this person's privacy. But I did know someone for whom the children that they had turning out not to be like them was just a huge disappointment. This was a person who had aspirations to let's just say artistic aspirations that were and had an appreciation for the arts, for elevated sorts of things. And this person was extremely disappointed, wound up being extremely disappointed when their children grew up not to appreciate the same sort of things that they appreciated, not to be into the sort of things that they were into. It was something that really made them feel, in a way, strangely betrayed, or it made them feel less connected to their offspring than they would have been if their offspring had shared their interests and their obsessions and their aspirations, artistically speaking. I'm not identifying this person again because I don't want to. I don't. It's not about exposing anyone and making them feel like they've done something wrong, although I guess I said some things about my parents already, so there's that. But I guess that can't really be helped in this conversation. So anyhow, just don't tell them, okay? Don't tell my parents about this video, please. But I can tell you that having children who don't necessarily share in my interests doesn't make me feel less close to them, doesn't make me feel less bonded with them. You know, if it had turned out that they were more like me in this way, of course that would be great. But the fact that they're different from me, in a way it's a relief, because I wouldn't want them to share some of the struggles that I've had. I wouldn't wish those upon them. So there's that. But also, I don't all through the time that I've raised them, or all through the time that they've been growing up and I've been their father. I guess that counts as me raising them. For some reason, that sounds kind of pompous to say I raised them, but all through that time, I felt that it was very important to project that I wasn't worried about them in the way that I always felt worried about. Because when you sense that those who are charged to take care of you, when you sense that they are worried about you, what that communicates, even though there is love involved in the worry, obviously there is, because if there weren't love, there wouldn't be worry, because if they didn't care, there would be nothing to worry about. If they didn't love me, there would be nothing to worry about. But nevertheless, I always took care to try to indicate that I was not worried about them. And I continue not to be worried about them. I think they're great people, and I think they're going to be fine. But God only knows what's going to get them to where they need to be. But I have faith enough in them, and this is more of a struggle, but I also have faith in God that they will wind up where they need to be. So this is just a video that I felt compelled to record on this subject of the question of worrying about your children, worrying because the world is getting worse by the minute. There are people who say, I don't want to raise my children in a world like like this one. You hear that a lot, and some of them mean it. And I don't think anyone should have to. And I don't think anyone should be forced into marriage if they don't want to get married, or forced into procreation if they don't want to procreate. But I do think that, as far as my answer to that question is this: simply that worrying about them would indicate a lack of trust. And while I certainly don't trust the world farther than I can throw it, and I can't throw the world anywhere, so that shows, I can't, the world throws me, but I can't throw the world, so that shows my lack of trust in the world. But I do trust my children, my now almost grown children, and I don't worry about them. And I would encourage other parents out there to adopt the same philosophy, because although I've done a lot of things that that make me cringe, or that I'm not proud of. Not terrible things, but things that are, not. I'm. I don't think I'm the best person I could possibly be in every way, but I think in this way, I'm happy with my attitude towards my kids, and I think it's been best for them. And so I wanted to share that. Thanks for watching.